What happens when two seasoned business leaders get together? They talk shop, of course. Sit back and listen in as Scott DeLong and Vince Moiso share from their experience around current issues facing executives, entrepreneurs, and their leadership teams. The CEO Podcast starts now.
Hey everybody, Vince Moiso here from the CEO Podcast. I'm here as always with my partner Scott DeLong, and Scott and I got together and we were thinking, man, as a topic, we really got to cover AI.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, AI is hot. It's I think everybody has the same questions that we do. I think there's a good sized group that's already way out in front of it. But it's here to stay, and it's moving at light speed, absolute light speed.
Yeah, I've got like kind of a mixed view on AI. Like everyone else, I'm concerned where it's going and what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the possibilities of what you can do with it, but then I also have this other piece that I'm really struggling with. So, as some of you know, I'm on this public speaking circuit now, and I'm with this organization that has taught me a lot about it. And they all want to be considered thought leaders. And at the same time, I'm hearing the word AI more often from that group than I've heard before. And I just wonder, whose thought are you leading if you're letting the computer do it? So I'm struggling with the use of AI in the thought leadership area.
Well, to that point, social media is riddled with it already, right? So
Absolutely.
if you think of blogs and you think of any type of outreach that's happening right now, whether we're talking about LinkedIn, Instagram, or whatever, there is so much of it that's AI driven or AI written. And you can really tell the stuff that's just pure AI versus those that are taking the time to edit and make it sound like them. So I had a recent experience that I'd share with you. I was at a Rise Up Kings event, RuckCon 7. So I was just there a week ago. And they had a speaker that came up and specifically spoke on AI, where AI is at and where it's going. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because really where AI is going to be probably the most impactful is going to be around data. So that's the true nature and true impact of AI. And I think what's in our face is ChatGPT and these type of apps and programs that are allowing people to write books or write blogs or do these various things. But really what he talked about is that the impact of AI is going to be on data, how it integrates with somebody's accounting software or inventory system or specifically customer data. So as you start to utilize AI to track how your customers are buying, what they're buying, when they're buying it, how they're interacting with your website, all of these things, it's going to spit out an incredible amount of data that you now can use to make decisions on products, new products, pricing, whatever it might be.
But they're not leading indicators, right? They're all it can do is spit out data on things that are existing within the universe, which fine, that's great.
For now.
Right. Well, there's my concern.
Yeah. For now, I mean, the way that he presented it and described it is that the evolution of AI is moving so fast that really it's kind of one of those things where the train has left the building and if you're not on it, you're just going to get left behind. And that is the future of. I mean, it was interesting because he used the analogy of Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, right? Okay. And in Good to Great, they talk about the I don't know if it was the fox and the hedgehog. Yep. And so the hedgehog does one thing, right? And so ultimately the idea behind the hedgehog was, be great at one thing. Do one thing and do it well and that's all you should focus on. And then I think, if I remember, in Good to Great, there's about a dozen companies that he gives as examples, and if you look at, like, probably 9 or 10 of those are either not in business today or or fledgling. And so that whole idea of just being really great at this one thing, it's not the case today. So what he uses as an example is that as we move into an AI driven world, it's adaptability that becomes so critical for businesses. And so he just basically was saying, you've got to find a way to integrate AI into your business and do it today.
Well, let's talk about that then. Let's talk about our businesses, our consulting type businesses. I don't consider myself a consultant, more of a facilitator, but leadership training, communications training, and all of those kind of things.
Sure.
I think that it actually becomes more important, right? If we have this dependence upon the data, the computers to do all this generation, then what we need to get better at is to be able to, between the two of us, communicate, between the group, my team, communicate, understanding the dynamics of that. So from my personal business, I see it as a positive when people are relying on that. But what I'm concerned about is employees, the workforce, the labor force. What's going to happen to those hedgehogs? What do they need to do in order to not fall behind? I see business leaders what we need to do, right? Yeah. But what about the folks that are working for us? Because for the United States to flourish, we need a strong middle class economy. We've proven that over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
but it's the middle class that's at risk.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this because I see where you're headed with that, and that's a valid concern. That being said, AI is not taking their job away. And let me explain why I think that. I'm already implementing AI in a couple different ways. And let me give a couple very specific examples so you understand what I'm talking about. Sure. In one way, again, like our coaching businesses are vastly different in the sense that, I do a lot of tactical things, right? And one of the things that I do, I will do a tremendous amount of research, right? So I get a lot of PDF documents that require me to review and put together summary documents. Interestingly enough, what Adobe has done, if you have Adobe Pro, and those that use it, Acrobat Pro, they've implemented an AI function in their documents now. So you can click on the AI function and it will give you, if you direct it, because I have to direct it, I have to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Right. Can you read this page and the next page and summarize that for me and let me know where those are, like those specific points. And boom, it'll kick out exactly where those are at. So instead of so what used to take me an hour or two, I can get done a lot faster, and I can get through documents a little bit better because I can get through the fluff and get to the meat of what I'm really looking for. Now I still have to go back. So just understand,
because
no,
a summary doesn't give you the depth.
No, I still have to go back, and I'm still looking for other things because it's not going to give me the full depth. To your point. Right. That being said, it does allow me some, a quicker way to get to a summary so that I'm moving on to the next document or even the next project, as an example. It still needs that human touch. Yeah. So let me give you another example. So when I was at RuckCon, this was really interesting. And so I think of it in terms of marketing. So let's just talk about marketing for a second. It's not going to take over marketing because people can already tell what's AI and what's not, right? You can already tell. And they're doing AI video. So I don't know if you've seen that, but the AI video and the quality is excellent.
And it's concerning.
But to me, it's not, because the way I see it is it's another tool for a really good marketer to leverage and utilize to get really good at marketing. So I like it because for a small company like the glass business, for a small company, we don't have a ton of resources. And it's not an expensive resource. It's very inexpensive. And therefore, I can take, what we have in place and enhance what we're doing thanks to AI. But let me just give you this other example. So I'm at RuckCon, and they were having us do this drill, and it was really awesome. And what it was an exercise in AI, and we had to write a poem to our wives. And what we had to do was really spell it out. So there were some very specific questions around. It was like, if the two of you were asked the same question, how would you answer the most romantic place on the planet that you guys would want to go to? Or are you guys okay with public affection? Or what are your love languages? It was just asking questions like that. So I took the answers to all of those questions and articulated to this chat GPT type app. Yeah, I told the story, and it spit out a haiku for me in one shot. And I wrote it, and it sounded like it was from me.
Did you use it?
I wrote it, and I gave it to my wife.
What was the reaction?
And she freaking loved it.
Yeah.
And then I told her the exercise, exactly what I just said. I told her, she goes, "That's unbelievable." So it wasn't like AI just did it for me.
Customized to your experience.
Yeah. I still had to direct and drive, and it was still me, and it sounded like me, but it helped the process. Because honestly, I would have sat there for 3 or 4 hours and would have never come up with that.
So I did a very similar but different exercise this morning. Getting ready for this, went into ChatGPT, and I said, I've got an article I've got to write, right? So one of the mini ebooks that we write, and I said, here's what I want to talk about, right? And give me a list of 10 different titles that might be interesting to my typical customer. And it did. Some of those were really good, right? So I said, then I went further and I said, okay, if I was to use this title and I wanted to make sure that I got these sentiments in here, why don't you give me 10 different headlines or chapter kind of headers that we could use to do that? And it was just way too generic, right? So, well, I would say 4 of them I probably could use, great. And then I said, after that, why don't you give me 500 words underneath this? And it didn't want to do that part. Right? It's like saying, I'm not writing your article for you, jerk.
It's limited.
Yeah.
It's limited.
Yeah.
It is.
So but as a brainstorming exercise, I loved it.
Yeah.
As a useful tool to say, I never have to write another book or I never have to do this kind of, no.
It won't function as that. Yeah. No, even I have an attorney friend who uses it religiously at this point. So he has an app. It's not Chat GPT. It's something else. But essentially, he wants to write a legal response, and he'll say, "Hey, I need you to write a response to this for this particular legal action. I need you to do a little bit of research to find out and incorporate this with it, whatever that might be." And then it will spit back a perfectly legal jargon response. And then he'll go through it at that point and edit, a little bit.
Customized to this specific case and these people, because they're going to be different. So that's what my concern is with these group of speakers, that there is one story. Well, no, we customize our work. You customize with your clients, I customize with my clients. We have some basics that we talk about, how this applies to that. And so I don't think, and I hope AI does not replace the need for us, for the things that we can do as human beings. And it might.
It's going to evolve and it's going to continue to improve and get better. As it sits today, it's a tool. It's a great tool that I think everybody should be using at this point to leverage for various reasons. And that's all it is as it sits today. Is it going to evolve? How quickly is it going to evolve? Yes, it's going to evolve. Is it going to replace? I don't know. I'm not convinced that it will replace. Let me give you another example. Okay, this is actually pretty incredible. So iFit, which is a company that has an application for exercise health. You can get strength, exercise bike, treadmill, whatever it is, and it's a connected fitness app. So Nordic Track, iFit owns the brand Nordic Track as an example, and so you buy a Nordic Track treadmill and you go to do a workout on the iFit app, and the iFit will actually connect the treadmill. So your trainer is controlling the speed, the incline, the decline, heart rate, all of that stuff.
So
yeah.
great use of that.
Yeah, so great use. But what they've implemented, the reason I bring this up, because it's a pretty incredible experience. And I bring it up because what they've implemented is AI coach. So now they've taken AI and they've said, we know that when you're trying, whatever your goal might be to lose weight, might be to get healthier, might be to train for an event, whatever that might be. And we know you need a coach. You need an accountability partner that's going to get you to where you need to go, right? So through text message, this AI coach will actually direct you. You give it a little bit of information and it will direct you on, hey, I'm going to go ahead and schedule these workouts for you.
Will it shame you if you don't show up like your regular coach does? Oh my!
Totally shames you. So like you get a text message. I just got one this morning, and there's some glitches because I said I actually cycled about 16 miles this morning. I did a road cycle, and he scheduled a cycle on the stationary bike after I had already told him. I've already told him that I was doing a road cycle.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, no, I told him. I let him know. I got to let him know, otherwise he schedules something for me.
You got an accountability partner.
But he did come back and shame me for not doing the exercise, the workout on the stationary bike.
Because you didn't tell him it replaces that. You just said, I'm doing this, and he still wanted.
This was an actual glitch. Okay. So I'm just saying, like, AI definitely is not perfect, and it's evolving, and it's going to come a long way. But I think the concept of what iFit is doing with this AI coach is very incredible. And by the way, he lifts you up too, because you'll finish a workout and you go, man, your heart was pumping. You just crushed that workout. Man, I'm so proud of the consistency that you're showing, or whatever it is.
How do you feel about that though? So like, if I told you that, if we're sitting there working out and say, dude, you nailed it, right? Yeah. Then you get this little endorphin rush, right? Yeah. You get the same thing with the AI?
I do. It's kind of cool. So I get all these feelings with the AI coach. So I've been on the beta for the AI coach for months at this point. I don't know exactly how long. And I will tell you, I get some of his texts I absolutely love. Some of them I hate. Some of them are confusing and they piss me off. Like so there's it's funny because it's all the emotions that I would have with a coach. So it's kind of funny when you think about it. It's
it's AI, and you still get the feeling piece.
I do. Yeah, it's really strange.
That is so cool and so scary.
Yeah.
Right? At the same time. So let's talk about government piece as well, right? We're in a political season, and you're talking about videos. We can mask who's saying what, and like what kind of regulation at this RUC conferences, they talk about that at all, and what kind of regulation can be imposed and can be used. And I could see automatic watermarks and things like that, but no one's going to buy into that. What do you think?
That's such a good question. So that was not covered by the speaker. And I don't know the answer to that. And I just, I could only go by the historical experience that we've had, that the government has been very slow to catch up with technology. So if you just take the internet as an example, and you take social media, and just talk about phishing, or hacking, or all of these things that we deal with technology, whether we're talking about our emails, whether you're talking about social media, internet, selling on the internet. The government has been so slow to regulate all of that because they cannot keep up with the speed at which it evolves. And I think there is a scary part to AI, because it's going to evolve quicker than the government's ability to regulate it.
For two reasons. One, the polarization, right? But even when our government agrees on what boundaries need to take place, they're going to implement clunky solutions that are going to hurt people.
Yeah.
So that's why they're so slow, for those two reasons: the polarization and then the clunkiness of what they know versus what the people that are developing this AI know.
Yeah.
We're always going to be behind, right? The bad guys can outthink the solutions that the good guys have to come up with. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Even without technology, that's the way it worked. I mean, back in my old days, when we operated payphones, and people were putting in fake quarters and that sort of thing, they were always responsive to the bad guys' solutions.
Yeah.
And slower, therefore. And this technology is moving so fast, I don't know that there's a good solution.
Yeah.
I just don't. So I'm concerned about it for in a lot of reasons. I see the coolness and I see the possibilities, but I'm concerned about it because of what harm can happen to people. And the second one is making sure that our middle class in particular is able to keep up and able to keep the economy rolling and keep themselves in jobs, right? Making sure that they can afford to feed their families and buy houses and do the things that we need the middle class to do. If this technology has the chance of replacing those jobs, what for them?
Well, AI is already implemented in robot tech. So I was just watching a clip from Bloomberg News this morning about launch of pure robotic tech, and that's where AI is completely implemented into that. Yeah, I mean we're living in what was sci-fi, a couple decades ago.
Absolutely. I was just watching some Twilight Zone episodes yesterday on it says marathon that was happening.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, that stuff all happened 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And the Twilight Zone was from 50 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so these sci-fi people have thought of this. First thing that you're thinking of when you're talking about robots, I started thinking of Soylent Green. I don't remember that movie where the food was the people. Anyway.
It's, I mean, but it's, I think that's the.
So let's talk about advice for us, advice for business owners, leaders, even executive teams. What should we, from your point of view, what should we be thinking about right now? And then what should we be doing to make sure we don't fall as far behind as we can?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to find it's a race right now to figure out how to leverage AI to your advantage, right? And again, if in listening to the speaker, which I think he did an incredible job for everybody in the room to fully understand it, is I think leveraging it for data is the most critical thing, customer data specifically. So I was even sitting there thinking about, great, how there are apps that already exist. Like, how could I implement AI quickly into my business where I'm pulling better and more specific customer data than I can already get from my own accounting software?
So now what I'm hearing is what we need to do is start asking ourselves the questions with this amount of data that small business has never been able to utilize fully because there's too much of it, right?
But AI is allowing for that.
What questions do I want answered?
Yep.
And then which tool within this AI world should I be looking for to insert my data to get some of those answers?
Totally agree.
Okay.
That's summed up perfectly with what I'm saying. And then in addition to that, it would be okay. The most simplest form is the chat GPT type apps, right? Utilizing that for marketing purposes, bringing that in to leverage it as an additional tool for your marketing team or your sales team in some way, or finding out how you can leverage that in a way for whether it's email marketing or whether it's on your copy on your website, whatever it might be, a blog. Just find ways to start to integrate and incorporate AI into your business.
But please don't rely solely on that, because what you said earlier, people can tell when it's just AI generated. 100%. And when your marketing looks fake, your customers aren't going to respond to it.
Yeah, understand how to use it, so do your research, of course.
That was going to be my thing.
Do your own research.
Find out what tools are out there, how others are using them. Try to stay ahead of the curve on your own research to understand what AI is. And admittedly, I fell behind on that.
Me too.
I didn't even want to play with it because I thought I want real humans. I want real thoughts. I want thought leadership. So I purposely stayed away. Of course, when I was in the payphone business, I didn't own a cell phone either, right? I got behind that curve too. So that was a flaw in my character, that I wasn't staying ahead of the curve. And I think we ought to challenge ourselves to try to stay ahead of the informational curve. What's available, what's out there, how might I use it, what questions do I need to have answered that I couldn't get answered before because we didn't have the resources.
Yeah.
Well, the resources have become available.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it's a super solid point. It's there, and I think there's just going to be a certain part of the population, especially on the business front, that they just either avoid it completely, resist it, right? And I would say the biggest message that I got in listening to that speaker a week ago is the way that the business market has shifted is a business's ability to adapt.
Yeah. So let's think about this. We only had a couple episodes left in season 5 of the CEO podcast, and you've got access to a speaker now. I've got a couple of speakers as well. Why don't we commit to our last show being having that expert on, and we challenge that expert? Would you be interested in that?
Yeah.
I think the audience would like to know more from an expert than how we might be using it, right? So let's do that. Let's make a commitment to make that our episode, actually 100, which is going to be the last one in season 5.
I like it.
Episode 100.
Good
We
call.
will get you an AI expert. Vince and I are going to come up with the kind of questions to challenge them on what's possible and what's ethical, right? I'm going to go both directions with an expert and see what they have to say.
I like that. It's a great idea.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
All right, folks, we're at the end of our time here.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end of season 5 of the CEO podcast. I want to thank all of you who have listened. As always, if you want to get in touch with us, scottandvince@gmail.com, or you can find Vince Moiso anywhere on the social medias, or Scott DeLong anywhere on the social medias as well. And we really appreciate what you've done for us and allowed us to be on your screens.
Thanks for listening. Cheers.
Thank you for joining us for the CEO Podcast. Please visit us at theceopodcast.net, where you can learn more about our co-hosts and listen to past episodes. If you would like to have a discussion and dive deeper into any topic, there is also an option to contact Scott or Vince to schedule some time with them. Thanks for listening.